Bro, I did not know where to do this video. Oh my goodness. I think I'm gonna do it right here. I just came out of the shower and I was listening to 1991 hip hop playlist. One of my playlists is one of my favorite playlists. It got a lot of good songs, and I was listening to one song, and it brought something up, something I wanted to talk about real quick. It's called "Be a Father to Your Child," and I was just thinking about it. It made me go down like with my personal life, memory lane with my personal life and stuff like that. And I wrote it down in my notes. I was like, this is a video that I should talk about, but I might as well just make it right now. I'm starving, so I want to make this quick so I can go eat. But something I wanted to talk about. So if you listen to the song, it's talking about how important it is for a father to be in a child's life. Now, having that father figure in any child's life, daughter, son, even just being in a household when you support the parents, when you support your mother, support the bills, support with example, support with knowledge, information, education. There's a lot of things, right? And it is such a heavy, serious thing to create the next generation. But this topic is so sensitive and so deep because it goes back decades where it hasn't been like how it should be. The ideal idea for the family is to have the mother and the father, and of course they raise their kids accordingly, right? It's important for the father to be in a daughter's life. It's important for the father to be in his son's life. Lead by example, teach him everything, teach him how to talk to girls, teach him how to apply for jobs, teach him how to work, teach him a million things, teach him how to do chores, teach him how to mow the lawn, teach him how to fix any electricity problem. Just an example, teach him how to cook. The mother teaches your sons not to put their hands on women, right? Fathers, teach them manners, patience, whatever. Bring them to school, talk to them, ask them how their day is. Get to know your son, have fun, right? And it hit at home for a second. Now, for me, personal, right? I have a single mother, right? And I'm not going to get too deep into personal life because I don't need to, nor even if I wanted to, we're going to be here for like literally 10 hours talking about everything from back to 2009 all the way up. So we're going to be here all day, and I don't even need to spare all that personal information out. I want to talk about something real quick. There's something heavy with this topic. Unfortunately, in the world that we're in right now, a lot of cases where families are split up is very common. And this happens with a lot of things. It happens with poverty. It happens with how the parents are raised. That's two examples. It happens with what the parents believe. It happens with how they feel. It happens with what they grew up with. It happens with the law, etc. There's plenty of reasons on why the family could split up, right? The mother and the father may not be together. They may have disagreed. One of them could have cheated. One of them could have felt like their parents did something to them. Their parents grew them up a specific way, so now that they can be this way, and then they could teach their kids this way. So it's like a domino effect. There's a lot. There's arrest, where it removes the father out the household. There's women under stress. There's drug usage. There's partying. There's still the childish mentality. The childish mentality is where you want to go party, have multiple girls, have multiple boyfriends, do what you want to do. Still don't live by morals. Don't live by mature standards. How do I put it? And I ain't gonna lie, I relate to the childish category where my father feels like he is still 21, right? He still feel like it's the late 90s, early 2000s, right? He's been doing that for the past, 20 years? So that's where I relate to. But a lot of people fall under all types of categories. There's all types of problems, right? There is arrest, which removes the father from the household. There is all types of things. Now I'm gonna get a little personal with this for everyone, and I'm gonna get into a sensitive topic. That song, obviously, that I'm talking about was obviously made by a black rapper. And me, I'm obviously black. I'm Jamaican. And I want to say two things real quick. Jamaican men tend to not show that much affection to their offspring, sons, daughters. The Jamaican household tend to be rougher, right? Jamaicans tend to be more harsher with their words, more aggressive. For me, for what I grew up with, from what I've been seeing, right? Now, my mother is obviously a perfect mother, right? But my father is on the side of, like I said, the want to live like he's 21, like how a lot of fathers do of all ethnicities, but also on the harsh, rough love. He don't give me hugs. He don't tell me he loved me, and that's okay, right? But then I want to get into the other side, and now with the black ethnicity. There's a lot, and it goes back decades. It goes back to the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. There's a lot even in the 70s. There's cases where during Vietnam, a lot of men had to get drafted for war, and they were removed from their children's life, right? On other cases, of course, they come back, and then they have PTSD, or they're suicidal, or they might not even come back from war. There's so much depth to removing people from the family's life, and it is a domino effect. The kid grows up not knowing their parents. The kid grows up with, oh, this is how it's supposed to be, or this is how it is, right? The guy from the song was hitting all notes. He was hitting all types of notes. He was talking about if the parents broke up, it's still your duty to be mature and care for your kid no matter what. That's your responsibility because you made the child. Don't diss the mother. It's important for having a father in your children's life. And even for mothers too. It's important for y'all mothers to always sacrifice for your needs to provide for your kid. Otherwise, don't have the kid. But then we're in a time right now where a lot of people, a lot of adults are actually having consistent abortions because they feel like they are not ready for that. And the abortion numbers is at its peak. The numbers of it is as high as World War II, Vietnam War. Huge. Millions. A lot of numbers. And it's scary. But I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk more about actually like growing up in this. So within our black community, it's rough having a 2-parent household. You have mothers who do exotic work. You have bad mothers. You have good fathers, bad mothers. You have good mothers, bad fathers. You have fathers who act like playboys, who play, have fun, still act like they're in their 20s. You have fathers who get removed from the household, arrested, right? You have fathers who live in poverty, and then they get arrested. Not get arrested, my fault. They live in poverty, and they have to put something on the table to provide for the family, but they may do it illegally, and then they get arrested, right? See, I actually have people who did that in my family. And then there's drugs again, or the war that I mentioned, or, police brutality that removes the father from the household. So then the sons grow up not having that fatherly love, not having that parent love, not having the strictness, the moralness, and it's very important. There's even cases where fathers are alive, they just don't care. Like I said, playboy. And they think all their kid needs is money. presents toys. Money presents toys. Material doesn't build a human being. It starts up here. It starts with your mind, not just the material. Material comes later. Material has no power. You give it power. But that's another conversation for another time. Material comes after. After you show the love from the conscience, then the material could come. This is unfortunately a domino effect that I've been seeing for decades. I mean, it's been here since the 50s, 60s. It's been here during segregation. It's been here a long time. But it got worse since the 70s. In the early 70s, of course, there was Vietnam, right? But then poverty, of course. And you know, the poverty has been cut off. It's like it's its own government. It's been cut off from the regular country, regular world, and has been given to us. So we just tear each other up in it, right? Poverty is big in these cases. The way we live, where we live is big in these cases. The states that we're in, you know, see, Connecticut is just like New York, Massachusetts, New Hampshire. It could get rough out here, really, really rough. And in the 70s, there's a lot. There's women who did prostitution, exotic work. There is the Vietnam, there's the wars, there's draftings, there's brutalities, there's injustice, there's poverty. And a lot of people grew up with that. I mean, look at Mary J. Blige's father. Mary J. Blige's father had PTSD because he served in Vietnam. Came back home, was a different man. And it's just, there's a depth to it. The 70s is where a lot of problems that are now in society started from. A lot of, well, the root, remember, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. The tree was starting in like the 60s, 70s, right? And then it leads into the now, so the 80s, early 90s, late 90s, 2000s. And it's so common. And it's not, I don't want to say monumental, because monumental is not a good thing, but it's so corely locked since 2011, 2012, right? That now it's just like the basis for us. And it's been like that for 50, 60 years. It's pretty sad out here. It's pretty unfortunate. I don't know what it is about Jamaican men, but Jamaican men tend to not show love and compassion. And I don't know how long that's been, for decades, but I know from my experience, and I know from hearing from family, of course. Family, I always listen to what other people got to say first before I just start coming in and then just start talking about things. And of course, I know from my example, right? But then I think this is what I wanted to mention earlier. There are Jamaican men who can be fathers. I have an amazing grandfather, but circumstances had tested him, right? Amazing grandfather. He's more of a father to me than my father has been, right? There's even times when I called him my father, right? Amazing man. He did a lot. He even sacrificed a lot for me too. But he's Jamaican. But that's not often. I have another friend, amazing father, loves me. I love him too. An amazing guy. I like people who don't fit in the stereotype that they're given. I'm not trying to build a stereotype around Jamaican men. I'm just trying to name, this is how big that category is, but there are some people who don't fall in that category, right? Unfortunately, my father falls in that category. And speaking of my father, this shirt that I got on, I got from him. He don't watch horror movies. And I was like, why do you have an Exorcist t-shirt when you don't even watch horror movies? You don't even know what Exorcist is. So I was like, I'll take it. He was like, yeah, you could have that. A couple years ago, that was fun. That was a good day. See, there are days when I have good moments with him. There are days where I'm pretty sure we all have had good moments with our parents. But then there are days where we don't. And those days are consistent. There's so much personal things that I want to mention. Like with when I had my senior signing day speech last year, back in May. And what that had caused. And that's a bit of a personal stuff, so I'm not gonna get into that. But if anyone in the comments want to hear about that story, I can tell you. I mean, I got stories for days. I have so much to talk about, in all honesty. But yeah, this video leads into a bigger topic. Problems with the Black community and the Black culture. Society tends to form people in a way. I was trying to figure out what to say. And you choose to abide by that, or you choose to not abide by that. But society has attacked Black people, but the Black community itself hasn't done anything to fix it. They've done a couple things, obviously, right? Movies, music, dancing. But we have done so much more damage to each other and to ourselves that literally outweighs the good. When you look at the bad, the good don't mean nothing. Realistically, the good doesn't mean anything. But when you look at the bad, it's like, damn, these people they really hate each other. It's very important to have a father in your household so your kids can grow up. So your kids can grow up with morals, manners, so your kids can know how to look for jobs, find out well education. Even if you want to send your kids to college, you have two parents that have money saved up for him or her, so then they could go to college, right? I can't go to college because I don't got funds for me to go to college. I can't rely fully on both parents, and I can't rely on one parent. I can't rely on him. He's on my life, and I can't rely on my mother because my mother already got a lot on her plate. And college is a debt that goes on for decades because it's such a high price. So yeah, it's important for fathers to be in your life so your kids can grow, right? You can't just buy them material and buy them cars, clothes, Jordans, jewelry, jeans, Xbox, video games, school clothes. And I mentioned school clothes because that's what my father said to me. Can't believe that. He bought me video games, school clothes, and he thinks he's the greatest father on earth for that. Why you never brag about me? You ain't doing nothing for me to brag about you about. What you talking about? Anyway, that's besides the point. Material isn't what makes you a parent. Just like, you know, when you say you want to go home, right? Home isn't just a building. Home is your comfort, your love, your happiness, your food, your bed, the people, the aesthetic. You make it your world. Home isn't just a building. There's millions of buildings on this planet. They're not all a home. Home is your comfort area. Home is where you feel like you, right? You're in your la la land. You get comfortable here. You get addicted to this place. But you know, you can't just call your parent your father. You know what I'm saying? Your father just because you made me. You have to lead by example to earn the title of, okay, father, and you earn the bragging, you earn the bragging rights and stuff like that. You know, really important. Like, even if a son wants to pull a girl, or wants to talk to you about a girl, he doesn't have a father there to talk to him about pulling a female. He doesn't have his father there to talk to him about how to pull the girl, how to treat her right, how to take her out. So he has to figure this shit out on his own. Come on, man. Like, it's even down that. Like, there's so much moments where I even had crushes on girls when I was in elementary school, middle school. In elementary school, of course, I told my father back in like 2013, 2014. But then there's times when I had crushes on a few girls in middle school. No, I didn't have no one to tell them to. I just had to come home and just think about them myself. You get what I'm saying? It goes down to everything. If your son or daughter doesn't know how to apply for jobs, even though now we have online, Indeed and plenty of things to do online and stuff like that. And now kids want to become rappers and shit, but that's a whole nother topic for another video. Teach them how to go for something. If you do truck driving, go on a trip with him, hang with him. I mean, I went on a couple of trips with my father and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? My father, we went out of this thing and stuff like that. I don't want to give out too much of a personal life, but I feel like everything that that song had talked about, the one that I mentioned earlier, was almost like exactly what I went through. You know what I'm saying? And even not only just a song, in movies, period. Like, there's a lot of movies that talk about absence fathers. Even Tony Stark had made a joke about it. Well, that's what fathers do, nothing to be a pussy about it. Like, that was funny. In Iron Man 3. Don't quote me on that. I forgot the damn quote. But just an example, like, there's plenty of movies where I talk about that. Even the scene with Denzel in Flight, right? Just stuff like that. Plenty of movies. Like, I can't even think of other movies right now. Um, I think we need a generation of people that actually have two-parent households, because then a lot of bull that's going on social media and at school and with the kids' mentalities will not be happening. They'll grow up to learn the truth about a lot of things. They'll grow up as responsible young people, and we wouldn't be in the culturally weird mess that we're in right now. The reason why I said culture mess is because they categorize Black people as just this culture. It's really important to really have two-parent households. Thank God I had an amazing mother who really puts forth me, because my mother was my mother and my father at some points. I grew up around plenty of women. Love women. Respect y'all. We need y'all. Love, 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 love women, right? I grew up around plenty of women. Cousins, friends from school. I have a lot of female friends. Had a lot of crushes, got a lot of bays, celebrity bays. Like, we need women, you know? But it is very important to have a father in your household, because it prevents unnecessary problems. It avoids the trouble. Your kids may not end up in prison. You get what I'm saying? Your kids may end up not, abusing women, beating on women. There's problems. Even, let's go back to the 1970s real quick, and I'm gonna end this video. In the 1970s, there's so many, serial killers who grew up weird because they had a broken household. Look at Dahmer. Dahmer's not Black, but my point is, right? He'd been through stuff that I went through. He had parents that argued. You know how much times my parents argued? My parents don't hide what they're going through from me. I see what's going on. So now I know, okay, this is what to not do. This is how tough love is. This is how, relationships between parents is. I know the real truth. When you hide the truth from your kid, they grow up to be school shooters. But I'm sorry, that's drifting off topic, but it's true. I heard my mom get into so much arguments. I've heard so much cussing. I heard it all. It's the truth. It's the raw truth. I'm being honest, and I know you have too, right? We all have gone through it. There's no kid who hasn't gone through a imperfect, I'm trying to find the right word, imperfect household, because we live in such an imperfect world and imperfect system. Now, I can't lie. A lot of Jehovah's Witnesses put forth on being the best parents that they ever can be. But if you're not in the truth, then you will have a broken household. But when you live by Jehovah, you actually have an amazing household, because you live by his clean morals. And that's why I have so much respect for them. Because even talking to so much witnesses, before the truth, they had problems in the household. In the truth, perfect household. Of course they're going to go through problems because we live in such a dirty world. Yeah, but they're not the problems. It's out there in the world that's the problems, if you get my point. I need to do more videos talking about them. Amazing, amazing people. But I want to get back onto something real quick. When you hear the grittiness of relationships and truths, then it builds you to be it grows you up in a way, the honest, brutal world, right? Because I feel like I matured by the age of 8 years old. I've always had an old soul. I feel like I matured by the age of 8 years old. Not only that I love 90s and 80s and 70s music, and I like 90s, 70s, 80s women, but in those times, but I'm saying, like, I feel like I matured fast. Hearing all the stuff that my parents went through, hearing all the stuff in my family too, because it's, like I said, it's in the Black Jamaican culture. It's in our society. So By the age of 8 years old, 7, 8, 9, I feel like I was already matured. I feel like I already knew how households was. I obviously wasn't in crazy stuff like that, but when I say you're in it, you know it, you heard of it, you're hearing it, you're growing up with it. It's in your knowledge, it's in your brain, it's in your consciousness. But yeah, it's really important to have two-parent households because then you grow up your kids right. Otherwise, they're not gonna know anything. They gotta learn the hard way. I don't have a two-parent household, but I was able to learn so much from my mother and learn so much from my family and so much from the witnesses and so much from movies, music too. People be telling stories of music. And when you find out that this been going on since the 70s, the late 60s, Vietnam War, it's truly sad. My goodness. This video was not supposed to be 20 minutes. I'm starving. I just wanted to talk about this, but I got so deep into everything that I was like, yeah, I gotta make this video real quick.